Good day, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Decoding the Future. My name is Mahesh Krishnan. I'm the CTO for Fujitsu here in Australia. And today we're going to be talking about some of the technology highlights of NRF 2025, which is retail's big show. I have two guests with me in the podcast today, and they're recently just back from attending NRF 2025. Let me first introduce you to Vikrant from GK Software. Welcome to the podcast, Vikrant. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and also maybe talk a little bit about what GK Software does?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mahesh. I lead the software business, GK Software business for Asia Pacific and Japan, based out of Singapore. For those who don't know GK is a global leader in retail software, and we provide in-store technologies for retailers. So anything from POS, mobile POS, loyalty programs, such as that. And I think the key thing that differentiates GK is that we are working with retailers to drive their revenue and make sure they are able to reduce cost and boost their profits. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Look, I want to mention that Fujitsu holds majority stake in GK Software. I think we did the acquisition about, is it 18 months now, Vikrant? Yeah,
it was around that, yes. That's right.
Yeah. Look, we still, GK still operates as an independent entity, but we work very closely with them as a partner in a lot of retail accounts. My second guest today is Clinton. Clinton, do you want to quickly introduce yourself and talk about even this? I know you work a lot with retail customers, and we talk a little bit about some of the problems that retailers are facing today that you work with.
Thanks, Mahesh. I head up our customer success management team within the Oceania region, focus on our retail and our commercial customers, with my team absolutely focused on making sure that a customer gets the best outcome from their partnership with Fujitsu, focusing on delivering real business value. The outcome that we're trying to achieve is customers that are delighted with Fujitsu's delivery of services as opposed to just being satisfied. So that's my focus within the team. Mahesh, you're also asking about challenges in the industry. Challenges in the industry, I think the absolute focus within the retail industry at the moment is around customer experience. How do you improve the customer experience in order to get more customers through the store, online, or any other channel? And how do you get them buying more from you? So that's the challenge. So a lot happens below that, but the focus is on that experience at the moment, and the challenge is how do we get that right?
Cool. Now, I know both of you have been to NRF recently, right? So I want to get insights into the event from both of you. Now, before we get into it, maybe I should just give a little bit of introduction into NRF itself. NRF is National Retail Federation, and they've been running this like mega event in January every year. I actually just Googled them up before we got into this podcast, and it said that they've been running this for around 100 years or something. They were established in 1911 or something. That's like well over 100 years. I know this event runs in New York, and it's like the flagship event for all the retailers. I think it's got over like 40,000 retail professionals and tech innovators and industry leaders and everyone who actually attend this. And it says it's basically just not just a trade show. I mean, this is where like all the latest, like the retail trends and the groundbreaking technologies and all of those things make their debut, right? So maybe I'll start with you, Clinton. Like, what was your experience attending retail's big show, as they call it?
For me, it was the very first NRF that I've attended. I knew it was a big show, but I had no idea the scale of NRF. That was it was eye-opening how big it was. 40,000 people, as you mentioned. The whole of New York, wherever you're walking around, somebody's walking around with a lanyard with NRF on it. Wow. So that scale of it is huge. I came through, just as an example, customs in New York City, and straight away they knew. The first question was, are you here for the retail conference? So the scale was significant, wow. Which surprised me. And for me, it was catching up with colleagues from around the world, customers and partners that we work with, both local and global. That was the biggest takeaway that I had with NRF.
Okay. How many days was the NRF event itself?
It's 2 days, but there are some other events around it. Actually, 3 days worth of NRF and some events on either side of it. We do things like retail safaris, lunches, breakfast, dinner, roundtables with customers, and try and do some other events that provide customers some value into the retail industry while we're there.
Okay. What about you, Vikrant? How was your NRF?
So a bit different from Clinton's. It was my 12th one.
Wow.
I've been going to New York in January. It's not the most pleasant experience in terms of freezing cold coming from Singapore over there. But it's the largest trade show in the world for retail. And as you mentioned, Mahesh, it's showcasing everything, not just technology, but all the other things that go into a retail store. So you have all the vendors around the world trying to, bring new things to customers, to people to see, hey, how can they improve their shopping experience, how they can create a nice customer journey, etc. Right? So that is fantastic. And for me, this was one of the best ones, I think, that I've been to, primarily because we had a quite a strong contingent from the APAC region attending. And I was a bit surprised about that because we do have NRF in Singapore, but it looks like there was quite a big attendance from our customers from Korea and Japan, which was fantastic. And just to add on to Clinton's comments there, the side events, one of the key highlights for me was we did a retail safari in Soho, which is a beautiful area within New York, with a lot of customers from Japan and Korea. And just to see new retail formats, how it's being deployed, various use of technology, online, offline, all this, it was really cool. And one of the big highlights for me was we did a breakfast briefing with one of our key customers from US. And it was very well received by everybody there.
I'm amazed you said you've been there for, this is your 12th, 12th trip to New York for this event.
Yeah, I had to think back. I always look at my son's age and I add one to that because it's always, but no, it's fantastic. It's a great 3 days. Yeah.
There's been a lot of changes in the years, like more trend, in terms of technology over the 12 years. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I've seen the big thing about everybody trying to move online and then mobile, the use of mobile technologies, and then payments. And now, of course, everything's about AI. And
so maybe that's probably a good segue, right? So what were your 3 key highlights or takeaways from NRF?
Yeah, for me, of course, the AI buzz is everywhere. And it was really around how do you use AI in retail effectively? There were, of course, the hardware vendors trying to show how fast their POS can be and what kind of cool things AI can do. But I was really interested in the use cases within, hey, how does it help improve the customer experience, the loyalty, how does it prevent things like loss, theft, etc. So various use cases. It was really interesting to see that. And also I think the other big focus was really around hyper-personalization, knowing your customers, targeting your customers, and really solutions in that space. And various vendors were out there showcasing their solutions. And the last thing was, how do we bring it together for our customers in the APAC region? And just seeing their reactions to the stuff that we were showing. So yeah, those are three things from my side. Yeah.
And Clinton, what about your highlights, takeaways?
I'm going to mention 2, Mahesh. They sort of align with what Vikrant was saying, but maybe taking it a level a little bit higher. The first is the customer experience that I mentioned earlier. And the thing that I took away from NRF is the fact that as a technology company, we tend to look at technology stack up, how it delivers value. The difference that I got there, and it also came from, which is the second highlight that I have, which is the retail safari, is taking that customer experience level and looking backwards through the stack to see how we can deliver on the customer experience. And I thought GK pulled together at the booth, which had such a lovely vibe around it. I think they pulled that together, and the Fujitsu booth as well, very similar, pulled it together in a nice way that actually demonstrated the customer experience, and the technology behind it was seamless on how it integrates. It was focused on the customer experience versus the technology. We could speak about the technology, but it was very much focused on that customer experience. And that's the biggest highlight I've got. And that's the focus that I've taken out of NRF that I will bring through to the Oceania region, is taking that CX lens into the conversations we have with our customers.
Okay, that's awesome. Look, I want to double click on some of the highlights that both of you mentioned, right? Maybe I'll start with you, Vikrant. I know you call out the use of AI in retail as one of the highlights, right? So in previous podcasts of this episode, we've spoken about how AI has this like transformative power to touch upon every aspect of retail, right? From the front of the store in sales of the sales floor to the back of the store, in the stock room, on the warehouse, and things like that, right? So can you maybe elaborate a little bit what you saw in this space at NRF, AI in retail?
Yeah. So two key things from my side on the AI part was, one is really around AI combined with other technologies. So we showcased something called a new solution from our side. It was from an acquisition we just recently had with Nometry. So it's part of the GK portfolio now, called GK Vision. It's really bringing camera technology, computer vision, all together with AI to solve some of the really difficult use cases in our industry, such as, hey, how do you do product recognition seamlessly? So that, as Clinton was saying, customer experience is the key. You do not want to be at a self-checkout and having problems where you are trying to scan things and it's always constantly giving you interventions where you have to call the store staff. So how do you do this seamlessly with using AI and computer vision technology? So I think this one was a really important part of our booth, and it got a lot of I think interest from everybody around the world. So that was one, and the other one's really around knowing your customers. So, and I touched a little bit on it earlier. It's really around not just the standard loyalty and promotions, but hey, I really need to understand my customers' buying behaviors. I really need to understand when they come into the store, and I want to target them effectively while they're in the store doing the, as part of the shopping journey, not after the fact, not before, but while they're there. So, for example, if I'm standing in front of in an aisle in front of a product, and if I scan something, I should be able to get promotions right then and there.
Right.
So this kind of stuff, and it's all combination of AI and other technologies together. So for me, that was really important, and it all ties back to Clinton's point: customer experience. We want to make sure that the customers are having a good experience in the store, because that's when they will come back to the store, and that's what retailers want.
Okay, so it's about everything, right? I mean, like, whether it's just not about the customer's experience at the checkout, the POS machine and things like when doing a self checkout, but also using that vision AI to kind of like analyze consumer behavior and showing promotions and things like that based on whatever they're doing within the store itself, isn't it? Yeah.
Correct. That's correct. And also I'll go back a little bit about the Nometry acquisition and the solution there. It's really, I think it's cutting edge solution in terms of, how it works. It's really around, hey, while you're scanning, the computer vision technology is looking at that, and it's seamless in terms of preventing fraud, in terms of helping the consumer if they miss something, to remind them, hey, something has happened here. You might want to have a look at it again. And so it doesn't I would say hinder the shopping journey. It's more actually helping the shopping journey, and also helps the retailer as well have a conversation with the customer rather than accusing them of something.
Yeah, I mean, the customers will make mistakes, right? They pick the wrong type of apple or
exactly.
things like that, right? So this kind of like makes that experience a lot more seamless for them, right? Yeah, okay.
That's correct.
Any insights from you on this one, Clinton, on the vision or on the AI, I should say, AI stuff?
I saw a lot of attention at the GK store as well as on the Fujitsu store around that. So it's a clear focus in the industry for a number of reasons, as you've mentioned, but it's also including things like age detection and theft, both of those, which helps make that seamless experience even better. So that's the message. That's the outcome we're trying to get, is how do we put technology in the environment that doesn't get in the way of the consumer, but complements that experience. And I thought it did it really well, the way the Nometry solution does it. I had a few of the customers that went through the Fujitsu booth. We took them through the GK booth to experience that as well. And it was really well received. It's clearly something the market is after and doing. And it's great that we've got it through the GK stack.
Yeah, no, look, I know we lose millions of dollars in retail, shrinkage, theft in, self-checkout counters and things like that. So I think this may actually play a really big part in solving some of those things for our retailers, isn't it? Yeah. See, you also, one of your highlight was around the customer experience, Clinton. So can you talk a little bit about, so are we talking about customers' experience in store, or are you thinking about across all channels? Can you just elaborate on that?
Definitely across all channels. Highlight from doing the retail safaris in New York is clearly the high street is definitely not dead. It's there. We just added extra channels that people engage over the years. So it's important getting all those channels as slick as can be. And you can clearly see in the market at the moment with the retailers collapsing, if you don't get that right, that customer experience, you can have a great product, but if you don't have the experience, you can crumble in the market. So it's really important you get that right. And I gathered that from NRF. The retail safaris I went on were not focused on technology at all. It was what's the experience in the store. And most of the time it was hidden technology that delivered that. And that was the special thing about it. So I think it's important that we think through that lens when we're talking through our customers as well. How do we complement the experience through technology, but not have technology up front and center?
Okay, so it's basically about, you kind of like use technology, but you're not aware that technology is playing a part in it. It's just like seamless kind of thing from a customer's point of view, isn't it? Yeah, okay, great. Any thoughts on this one, Vikrant? I know you mentioned customer. I thought it's one of the things that you did mention as well, right? I think you customer engagement you mentioned, right? So just like trying to work out. Is it much different from the overall customer experience when you talk about customer engagement?
Customer engagement helps with the customer experience, obviously, right? So, especially after the pandemic, the retailers are struggling to get the customers back into the stores, and they need to have a very consistent customer experience, no matter, as Clinton said, what touch point they are interacting with you on. So that is the key. And I noticed that during retail safari as well, like the retailers are really focused on creating a really enjoyable, interesting, exciting customer experiences, and in wide variety of they're trying all different types of angles on how to do this. And the one that I thought, which was really interesting, is like loyalty plays a huge part in this, because previously it's always been like, hey, if you sign up for a loyalty scheme within through a retailer, you're just going to get bombarded with coupons, promotions, and some of them are really not relevant to you, like buy one, get one free, or come in today and you'll get 25% of X or something like that. But now with the use of AI, they're really honing down on, hey, I know this customer. I know when they come into the store. I know what they're interested in. If you like coffee, I'm going to target you on that. And it's not really affecting so that the use of AI is really being intelligent, rather than like saying, hey, I just give him 25% off and then, he will buy more coffee. It's not like that. It's more like, I know I can make a little bit more because the person enjoys coffee. So how do I target them effectively so that I don't reduce my margin, but at the same time, they still buy? So it's a lot of different algorithms at play around, demand and supply. And this was really
This is
interesting.
the hyper-personalization bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I know we're talking about GK. So what does GK specifically play? How does GK play a role in this hyper-personalization and so on?
So yeah, we launched a solution last year called GK Engage, and it's very much, center of our loyalty management area, and it's already gone live last year with Aldi in Belgium, and so it's one of our big customers there, and at the moment we're having a lot of conversation with our customers across the world with that solution.
Okay. Cool. Before we wrap up, I want to get, I know we spoke about the retail safari a few times, and maybe Clinton, I think you mentioned that as one of your highlights as well. Maybe can you tell me a little bit more about the retail safari itself?
Sure. So retail safari, we did 2 retail safaris. We did one with the GK team and one with the Fujitsu team. We visited different stores as part of that retail safari. We bring in a retail expert. In the retail safari I went on, which was the Fujitsu one, was a guy named Jack Stratton, who was amazing, really great. He took us on a few stores around the Soho area and pinpointing the types of experiences that he sees as being an industry expert around the globe that work. And how do we then, as technology companies in the background, how do we complement that type of experience with technology in the background? So that's the value I got. So you visit a whole bunch of stores. He gives you a bit of a briefing, takes you around. The customers loved it. The Fujitsu people loved it. And I'm sure Vikrant had the same experience with the retail safari with their customers. And it's something that tends to be a staple at NRF, that we tend to do that, and customers really enjoy it and put their hands up to attend it. And any future NRF, I'd highly recommend people to join one of those retail safaris.
So effectively store hopping, but were you also buying things, or were you just looking around and just?
I controlled myself, but some of the guys on the retail safari definitely bought a few things. You get tempted. Those stores are set up so well that you get tempted to buy something.
Okay, that's great. Look, I think NRF sounds like a fun event, right? And obviously New York is a great place to be. Maybe not in January when it's the middle of winter, but I absolutely love New York. And before we wrap up, any final thoughts, words of wisdom, any takeaways for our listeners? Maybe I'll start with you first, Vikrant. What's your biggest takeaway? Advice, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I think it was a fantastic show, and like I said, a lot of engagement with our customers there and prospects. And right now, we are focused on bringing those technologies and solutions to the APAC market, working very closely with Fujitsu, and really trying to highlight, hey, how this can help improve the customer experience and how we can assist them with solving their problems. One thing I would say is, for those who missed out on NRF in New York, so now NRF is becoming a global event, and we are going to have a second edition of that in Singapore in June. So GK and Fujitsu will be having a combined booth, and I think it'll be a fantastic place to really again engage and showcase our complete portfolio. So I'll invite everybody who's listening to this, please come to Singapore, and we'll make sure that you have a good time with us.
Awesome. And Clinton, anything from you?
Totally agree with that. And there'll be retail safaris there as well. The main takeaway for me from New York was remember to take your gloves and a beanie, which I happened to forget. So remember to do that, because you won't last too long in January without those, especially me with limited hair on my head.
That's good. This is a great look. I want to extend a huge thanks to our special guests, both Clinton and Vikrant, for sharing their experiences and highlights from the trip to NRF 2025. And as Vikrant said, for those who couldn't travel to New York, there's an opportunity to also visit. Is it a smaller version that you have in Singapore, Vikrant? Is it about the same size or slightly smaller? How does it work?
So it's a second edition. Last year was the first time they did it, and it only had one floor. I think they've already expanded it to 2 floors. So it's getting there. I think give it some time and it will become as big as New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, look, that'll be like, for all those who couldn't make it to New York, maybe this is like a much closer if you're in the APAC region.
Exactly.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us in this kind of like exploration, if I can call it, of the retail's biggest event. If you found today's discussion valuable, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and share it with others who might be interested as well. And thanks for tuning in. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mahesh. Thanks, Clinton.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.